You're going to love this episode. I sit down with the man, the myth, the legend that is Wyn Masters, Mr. Wheelie Wednesday, Mr. Wyn TV. And we go into everything about what's going on in mountain biking right now, his career coming up from New Zealand and traveling over here and being a bit of a gypsy, his awards and how he's kind of like trying to put more focus onto helping other people kind of make their dream a reality, and the direction the sport's going and where he sees it going and where he wants to see it go and what he thinks could make it better and what is making it worse. So sit down for an hour chat, go into all these different things and just have a really good time. Me and Wyn have known each other for a while, and it's cool to connect with him and kind of get his perspective and view on where he sees the sport going and just how he's become the person he is. So hope you really enjoy it. Check it out. And especially if it's going to be end of the year and snowing probably. So I doubt it.
Then it'll be prime conditions.
Well, I was talking to Matty DePral, and he's just like, everyone keeps asking him whether it's going to be like it's going to be raining or not. He's like, how do I know? Yeah. Like sometimes it's the perfect weather ever, like super nice, cool, and then sometimes it's snowing. So he's
so it could be
you don't know.
One of two. Yeah.
But he said it's really nice because it's like when the leaves change.
Yeah.
But then also all the leaves fall onto the track, and he says if it's like windy and raining. Yeah, overnight, literally the whole track could be covered in leaves.
And slippery.
And slippery as hell, so you never know.
Yeah, I can imagine snowshoes are going to be very slippery.
Yeah. We apparently when I was talking to the locals, they said the first 2 years we went there, they've like never seen it that dry. And then last year was like
normal
standard procedure, how it was.
Yeah,
Do you like it?
Yeah.
I hated it. You're real good at that, aren't you though? Like remember when you went to that's probably a funny spot to start as well. Anyway, you know what I'm going to say, hey?
No.
When you overtook me.
Oh, in
Cairns. That was that greasy, that shitty greasy, like clay.
Yeah, jungle clay.
Jungle clay.
Yeah.
But that's...
Tropical rainforest.
Yeah, why can you ride tropical rainforest clay well?
That's more similar to what we grew up with.
In New Zealand, that was the one.
Yeah, like the local place was slippery as shit.
Where's the local place?
And mostly wet. It's like a 1 minute track.
And it was just grease.
Yeah.
True.
And we would have like little races there.
Yeah.
Little like races. I probably rode a hardtail most of them.
And you nailed the slipperiness.
Yeah, we like the slipperiness. Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting into it. So we're here with Wyn Masters on the Offtrack Experience. We're going to sit down. We're here in Ludenville before the World Cup. And are you racing the enduro as well, or you're just...
No, just downhill.
Downhill?
Yeah, I don't do many enduros now.
You've cut back?
Cut back, I don't do any, yeah.
You don't do any at all?
Not on the EDR circuit, no.
Why'd you... you've gone from downhill to enduro. Well, you always did both.
Well, I did both, yeah.
And then you've gone just back to downhill.
Yeah.
What was the...
the enduro just went really the opposite direction of what I thought it was. And it was pretty cool for a while. They were doing a great job of it. There's big races. You go places, explore like the whole area. And it was pretty cool. And then they've gone to like 1 day races where it's almost like 5 downhill tracks. And you don't do much riding. You used to do like 4 days of riding in a race. And you'd need to be like real fit just to finish the race.
And now it's just sprinting.
Yeah, now it's quite short, yeah. So it's not really like the endurance aspect so much anymore, and nor the adventure and the exploration of like cool places, which is what it was.
Do you reckon that's not only happening in enduro, but now it's happening in downhill as well? It's always kind of been happening, but now it's getting more and more like...
definitely has gotten more and more like... Well, the thing I saw in the weekend, they're like full like polishing the track before practice.
Yeah.
They're like sweeping everything off it. I'm like, well, is this mountain biking or is this something else?
Do you feel like
fair enough.
Do you feel like that? Do you feel like that at the start of the weekend, not just after a practice day? Because I can understand them trying to like clear the track of loose rocks before practice, but before practice, the rock garden was scattered with rock.
Yeah.
But then before race day, which honestly I like the fact that it was like that, but I'm like, why didn't you do that in the beginning?
Yeah, do it at the start, not the night before the race, and then everyone practice it. Actually, you can go faster into the rock garden, which is probably more dangerous than having some loose rocks that are part of the natural terrain. They sweep it down like to the smooth dirt.
Yeah, I know they've done that a few places like Lenzerheide and other places.
Yeah, and then in Val di Sole they were putting dry dust on the wet routes, and I'm like, well, it's not really natural.
Yeah, how you're trying to change it too much and alter it.
It is mountain biking.
Yeah. So do you reckon that the sport is going in a direction? So we're jumping straight into this side of thing. I was going to build into this a bit more, but like in that regard, so you reckon you're not doing enduro now just because of the direction it seems to be going?
Yeah. Yeah, I lost the love of what it was because it went in another direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a lot of other people feel the same
Probably.
way with that?
Yeah. I think some are still doing it, but they know that it's not what it was.
Yeah.
Like they would admit that.
And do you think they're just holding on to it because it's
because that's the discipline they do. So they they need a job and they want to ride somewhere.
Yeah.
So they have to do that.
And do you think that's the way it's going with downhill as well now? Because even like we were saying before, you chatted to Cade, for example.
Yeah.
And he straight up said that he's probably not going to do it much longer because of how it's developing.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be. And then if you cut the numbers down even more, then you lose a lot of the storyline of the riders growing through the sport that I really enjoy myself. Like, it's better to have a rider that's built his way to be a top rider rather than a rider that just comes from junior and is already at the top.
Yeah.
Like, both are cool, but it's a longer story and there's more to tell. Someone that works their way to the top.
Well, kind of talking about, I guess, what year did you start racing down in? 2008? 2008.
Yeah.
And what was it like coming from New Zealand, coming over here? Because you would have been the beginning of the Vanzacks before they were called Vanzacks in a way.
I didn't have a van.
You didn't have a van?
No van.
How'd you get around? Car?
Nah, just arrived in Portugal and had to I knew one guy and then I just went with him to like a pre-season Maxis Cup race in Gouveia.
Yeah.
And then from there I had to meet people if I wanted to go.
And you just catch lifts with people?
Yeah. The whole time.
Because you just couldn't afford it.
No, there's no way I was buying a van. I had 11,000 New Zealand dollars and that was to pay for my flights as well. And at the time the exchange rate was closer to what it is now. So it was real bad against the New Zealand dollar.
And you just come over here alone?
Like 5,000 euros.
And you just came over alone chasing...
Yeah, less than 5,000 because I had 11,000 for my flight included. Yeah. So
and what was the plan? Just wing it, kind of?
Just do as many races as I could and see where I end up.
And back then as well, though, it would have felt a lot more easier to break in to a World Cup circuit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you could do those pre-season races, get kind of used to racing in Europe, and then start doing some World Cups and see how you go. And there was shitloads of riders starting. Like, I think in Maribor there was 300.
Yeah.
Started in elite, and that was my first race. I missed the qualifying cut but I crashed and then thought that I won't make it, so I just rolled down. Then after that, I was just like, I have to pin it to everyone.
And so you learn from Cairns, you don't give up even after you get
even
if you get overtaken.
Yeah.
So yeah, you felt like coming over, you could kind of. Obviously, there's still heaps of competitors, but you felt like it was easy to kind of fall into racing World Cups and get the points and experience from doing like IXS Cups and other European racing.
Yeah.
Were they bigger back then?
The Portugal race was pretty big, like the Maxis Cup. So nearly all the World Cup field was there at the Gouveia Maxis Cup, which is like probably might have even been in late March. So I came real early. Did that, and then I did another Portugal Cup, a Spanish race, a French race, and then started World Cups after that. So I'd done like a bunch of races before I got to the World Cup.
To build into it, yeah.
And that was like the best thing I could have done. Like the kids I see now, a lot of them just chase the World Cup. I'm like, it's almost pointless. Like for me, if I was starting, I'd way rather go and do all those other races first. Then you're like confident in racing in Europe, rather than you're like starting at the World Cup where you probably won't qualify. You go home with your tail between your legs, and the next race you're less confident. I think that's not really the good approach unless you're going to come out swinging.
Do you think they almost need to have, because I guess people don't look at IXS as being such a feeder series, even though it is. I guess all series that lead into a World Cup are. Yeah. But do you feel like there almost needs to be a proper feeder series for the World Cup?
For them to reduce the number, I feel like they should have had the feeder series running this year first to get it going before they reduce the number, or make it more difficult. And they're definitely going to make it more difficult if they don't give you points for qualifying in the semi-final.
Yeah.
Like, then you're cutting out riders from countries where it's hard to get points that are actually really good riders because they qualify at World Cups. So you actually cut the wrong people out rather than cutting like the riders that are from a small country and it's easy to get a lot of points. So they show up at the World Cup with a good number plate and they practice, and they have actually got their points from doing races that are not nearly the same level as the guys that are qualifying for semi-finals. So yeah.
Well, that's kind of like the whole Brayton scenario that's going on, that he's one of the best in the world, like top 40 or top 50 or whatever at the moment.
And consistently for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gets booted, but then someone who's raced all their national series, plus an Oceanas or national champs, has got way more points, and they can come rock up and not even qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could buy your way into a team and you can start with 0 points.
Yeah.
So then it becomes a buy-in.
Because how does that work? If you're on an elite team, they can enter you.
I think it's not even an elite team, just a team. So if you're on a UCI team and you have 0 points, they can enter you.
But isn't Brayton on a team though?
No.
He's not?
No.
So he's not privateer, but he obviously has support by people, but not...
He's a professional privateer.
Yeah.
Like, he probably, for him, it works better for him to do that than to be in a team, because he can have all his own separate sponsors and maybe bring in more money in as a total than being on most of the teams. So for him, that's like quite a good option, but then it takes away that option for any other riders now, I think.
Because you need, what do you need? You need 40 points?
40 points, yeah.
To be entered.
But to get 40 points, you need to finish 20th in the final.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like right now, like I couldn't race next year.
Yeah.
If it was
me too, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And it's the first time where it's probably been like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you look at someone, because even just for, what about for injury's sake? Just say Finn or someone like Anne-Marie, for example.
Yeah.
Can he race next year? He have no points this year. If
he could only race because of his team.
Yeah, but if
that was not the case, then no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the team dropped him for whatever reason.
And he didn't have a team.
Yeah, he couldn't race.
Probably not. But then, this is why this rule is a little bit weird, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think as well, because we were talking about, me and Eddie were talking about the last race, because it was finals, they cut out the semi.
Yeah.
If you got 31st, do you get anything?
You didn't.
Nothing.
So in the end, they gave points only to the top 30.
Yeah.
And then you got 0 after 31, 32 and on.
You would think that they'd just give you the semi-finals points from 30th to 60th.
Yeah. But like you get 0 points, so it's almost like your result didn't count.
Oh,
but I did, last week I did enjoy watching the race because there was no semi-final. Like, it was sick to watch.
Yeah, it flowed.
And I watched it all pretty like intensely, whereas the other races I've watched the semi-final, so I'm like, well, here comes the final. Like, it's like,
it kills it, man. Like, I know when I haven't qualified and I've gone to watch, the semi-finals just doesn't have any excitement in my opinion.
And then by the final coming around, you're bored.
Yeah.
Last week was exciting because here goes the final. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's what downhill is. Yeah.
What do you reckon, like, if it keeps going in the direction, what do you think the outcome's going to be for downhill racing?
Well, then there'll be a limited number at the top that would do well. And everyone else has to go to another series, probably.
I think it's just going to be, this is F1, or if people keep calling it that, where it's like...
Yeah, or MotoGP.
MotoGP.
20 riders in MotoGP class.
Yeah. Best of the best, and then breaking onto that, you need to go through a feeder series to get involved.
Yeah.
But
then you lose a lot of stories. Like,
well, you lose stories, you lose spectating. If you're at a World Cup and 10 women and 30 men in final...
In practice as well.
In practice or whatever, of 60, and it's boring.
The intervals between riders is like minutes, and you're just sitting there to walk.
Yeah. If you've gone there to spectate and pay money to go to an event and watch, you don't really...
You want to see riders on the hill.
Yeah, exactly. And you just lose that straight away.
Yeah, and I think, like, for me, the coolest thing is seeing, like, smaller riders do well. or like unknown riders come out and do well, and then if they keep going and go on to make a career of it, it's even better. So that's cool. That's why I try and do with the privateer thing, help people that don't have the support or are unknown to get noticed, you know.
Yeah.
And then they might go into a team after that.
Yeah.
But then there's none of that. But then hopefully whatever other series, IXS Cup or whatever it may be, Crankworks, actually booms because of this. Then if those guys really do a great job, people that are here might want to go there.
Yeah, that's the thing. They might draw people away from
this.
The amount, I put up a thing the other day, and the amount of people that were just like, why do we need, like the UCI, why do we need this event? Like, why don't all the riders just branch out and go somewhere else? But I guess it's...
Well, they control the governing body at the moment, so then you wouldn't be able to do world champs or anything. But the whole thing happened in golf, and then in the end...
Yeah, exactly.
Live
That's what
Golf
I mean.
build a competitive series to the point where the other series wanted to merge it.
Yeah. That's the thing. If you make a series, an event, and you say this is the unofficial world champ, but every single top rider in the world
wants to go, and there's $100,000 for first or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
and you give them a
then
gold
they will
jersey,
go.
and you give them gold jersey, and you're like, well, this is the same thing.
Yeah, like they probably will go if it's better.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's building it to start with and getting it to that point. It will be.
And it's also pulling
part,
people across.
Yeah.
Like Live Golf obviously did that because
they've
they
got
had
money,
millions and millions
but
of dollars.
if you have much more competitive prize money, then it already will start bringing people. Like, because $37.50 I think you get for a World Cup win.
Yeah, €3,700.
Yeah, and that's not much. Like,
it's ridiculous.
For how many? If you can count how many people have won World Cups in the last 5 years, it wouldn't be many people. So hardly anyone wins them. So then it drops to $2,000 for second. So it's like
it drops. Yeah. I think it's like $100 or $200 for 10th.
Yeah.
And I think about this, like just say for example at Lenzerheide where it's a ticketed event.
Yeah.
So you have to pay, I don't know, €30, €40 to get in, maybe more. And then obviously paying that, you're paying an entry. Yeah. Doing all that, you see all the money that this is bringing in. We are like the show. Yeah. We are the show, and then you get that amount of money for winning. Yeah. And it's just like, I hate complaining about the money thing, but it's a joke.
Yeah, well, that's not real money really. For professional sport.
It's even funny, like I got a bit annoyed at the bottom of Andorra because I came down and I was coming around the back, and then I started talking to my team manager and pushed my bike up next to where he was, and then people just start yelling at me straight away to move, and I can't be there. And I'm just thinking, it's like, I'm literally paying to go in this race, which you are televising, making money off, sending around the world, and I can't even stand in a place. It's like, it's just, I feel like you just get kind of walked over pretty heavily. Yeah,
because they've got the control, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw them going off at a few other riders, and I'm like that's literally we are the show. And you can't even just have like a little bit of respect to be like, oh, like, you've got, and then you get put in the back somewhere. It's like, oh, you didn't get in the hot seat. Go around there at the back. Where you can't see the screen. Where you going? Like, it's it's not the priority for them. No. Yeah. And then, are you in the riders union thing? No. Because that was something like last year I tried to put effort into. Yeah. And I felt like a lot of it kind of fell on deaf ears, and being in a few meetings and seeing people be obviously really invested in it, but then a few people not being invested in it. And it was this thing where it's like, if you're not all in it,
then it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Yeah. And seeing that kind of like fall apart and not really be, I don't know, I haven't heard of anything. It's not, I haven't heard anything about it this year. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of fell in a bit of a heap. Yeah. Which, then limits the riders having any say. Yeah. Because they're not all together. Well, the whole thing, it's like, I think the idea of the thing was like having a strike of not competing, just that being announced would be enough, I think, to obviously make some kind of change. Yeah. But the fact when people are like, oh, like, I'm going to ride. Yeah. And when you openly say that, it's like, well, then this is pointless. Yeah. Because if 3 people say, oh, I'm going to ride, and then 27 say, I'm not, then it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah. And I think they still have a show because they've got 3 guys that want to go down. Yeah, it's a podium there. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so that was one thing that I saw, and it was kind of like you almost just like banging your head against the wall because you're just like, this could be so much
Which
better
is a
for
shame,
everyone.
but I don't know. I think too many people are really scared to voice their true opinion because they don't want to offend anyone and they feel like they're here doing the series, so they don't want that anyone's upset with them, whether it be their team or Discovery ESO or whoever.
Yeah.
So they don't actually say what they really think.
Yeah.
Then they just say, yeah, it's great, it's so good.
They just go along with what's happening.
Yeah.
But then in the long run, that just probably just ends up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
Be like, is it really fine? And then something will happen where you're like, okay, this is too much now.
Yeah, and then, they blow up. But then it's not better for the better.
No, not at all. But
yeah.
What do you reckon, if you can make changes and you were the puppet master for all of this, what would you want to implement to make positive
Well, I would
change?
probably just keep it at 60 riders. Like, I feel like now it's so competitive that the 60th rider can come 10th.
Yeah.
So that's entirely possible. And people would like to get behind the underdog as well sometimes. So we keep 60 riders. If you want to publicise the 30, then just do that. And you don't have to show the first 30. But if you qualify in the top 30, then for sure your run's on live.
Yeah.
I would keep it at that and probably keep the people that were the core and the voice of the sport. Like, now we miss kind of Rob for sure, as he was the voice of mountain biking. And then if you don't have him, then you don't really have the authentic thing that was downhill racing or even for cross country as well. And I feel like he was pretty much the show, half the show. If you put people in there that don't even understand who the riders are, then you can't even... The show's never even going to be very watchable, especially for an uneducated viewer. If they can't even see who the people are, then how are the people at home going to know what's going on?
Well, this is the thing that happened. You obviously saw the thing in Andorra with Tani getting mistaken as Nina.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It's like it's hard for people to build a rapport and connection with people that don't even know who you are.
Yeah, and we're 4 races into the season. 5 if you include Worlds.
Yeah.
And you still don't know who the top 5 women are? Like, is that possible when you're paid to do that for a job? Like, your job is to report on sport. Then surely you have to know the sport that you report on. Like, it was almost a joke, you know?
Yeah.
I had to put it on my story. I was like, wow. Is this even possible?
Yeah. And I think, I guess that's the thing when you bring people in that train journalists or whatever, but they have no idea about the sport or really care to have...
Well, yeah, you can't care enough if you can allow that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
It's a job, it's not a passion.
Well, that kind of comes into, I guess, why people are drawn to the whole Wyn TV thing.
Yeah.
Because you have a connection with these people, with the people, and you're part of it.
Yeah.
So you're not viewing it from a third person perspective of like journalists. It's like, no, athlete to athlete.
Yeah.
And you can relate.
Yeah, we can get like the real rundown of what's going on with each person. Because I've known them for a number of years or whatever, and they know that I do the same as them. So there's like a trust.
Yeah.
Then they'll let more information go than they would normally. And it's easy to get what actually happened on track or what happened last night that affected their result out of them, rather than they don't want to say it because it's to someone they don't even know.
Yeah. It's more relatability, hey?
Yeah.
Like a lot more relatability.
For me, the person that's doing a great job at the moment on the broadcast is Carlson. When you watch his interviews, you can see the passion. And he's like excited, passionate, and he wants to learn about all the athletes and be able to speak to them directly. Like I watched a cross country interview, and he's not like full cross country guy. So like you would say that he's more lean towards gravity. But then he goes in and he's like stoked to be interviewing Nino after the race and excited about the race, and you can feel that.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, then it's like, well, it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and here's.
Well, you're not going to be your true, authentic self.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like if you have someone that's talking to you that you can feel they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Or care.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm not going to open up and be my authentic self, which is going to come across on camera as being something that people want to listen to.
And then the other thing was not know that not every race gives away a rainbow jersey. Like, anyone involved in any form of cycling, mountain biking, whatever, knows that the rainbow jersey at one race per year, world champs. And then you've just been at the world champs.
But even if it was Nina didn't win it either.
No, but she wouldn't win the rainbow jersey, but she was saying we're giving a rainbow jersey. She thought that she gets a rainbow jersey because they gave a rainbow jersey at Fort William. It was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, would you ever do something like move out of? I still do Wyn TV, but would you ever do something for a broadcasting thing like
sure.
Red Bull or something? If they,
I've done a little bit for Red Bull already with the urban races.
Yeah.
So I did some of their analysis. Like, it's pretty tricky on this Archie Paint screen, and you've got what Elliot was doing for the World Cup, like showing lines and stuff after in the post race show.
Yeah.
And I was doing that for the urban races, and that's like kind of good learning experience to see what they do in a live show and how much goes into it.
Well, that's what you're saying afterwards, how Rob works super hard.
Yeah, I've never seen someone, like, I knew Rob personally, so then I knew he's a loose guy and like, but pretty relaxed, like funny guy. But then I've never seen someone prepare so much for like their job, and he wanted to arrive like a day early and start preparing and rehearsing, and I did not expect that at all, because he's a bit of a loose guy.
Yeah, when it comes to that, I guess that if you want to be a perfectionist in anything, whether it be racing or broadcasting or interviewing, that
you've got to work at it.
And that's the one thing I feel like has been lacking now with the commentary is there's just lack of preparation.
Yeah.
Like, and then it falls back into you're just observing and commentating.
And you're trying to speak about something as it's happening with no information about that person or anything, the team they ride for, the bike they're on, whatever.
Yeah.
So, his handlebars are wide. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Is that relevant to anything? Because everyone's handlebars are probably a similar width. It's like they're missing the preparation. Yeah. And or being like ingrained in the sport where you're in the pits all day.
Exactly.
Getting information.
Yeah. And that's what I know Rob and Elliot did really well.
Yeah.
Was they would just come chat to you. How's life?
Yeah.
How's your family? How's your injury? How's this? And like, as much as obviously they're doing that because they're your friend, they also...
They wanted to have information to put into the broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I guess that's something that you've done over time with doing Wyn TV that could translate over into doing something more.
Yeah, for sure. I would be interested, but it depends if they are. Yeah.
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 You wouldn't like push for it or anything, but if it came up as something being...
Yeah, I'll ask them what their plans are, but not too much more. Yeah.
What are your plans, Wynos? How much longer do you see yourself doing this?
I don't know. At the moment, I don't want to race too long because the way the racing's going, that's not my main focus anymore. And I don't think there's a place for a 30 to 60 rider after this season.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't think. So I probably won't race too long, but then I'll do like the events and races that I want to do, and keep doing video stuff and helping privateer people where I can. Maybe not at the World Cup because probably it gets too hard for them there. But yeah, just keep doing pretty much what I'm doing without racing World Cups.
Was there a point with your racing where you stopped caring so much about results and more about the value you gave as like a personality, as like Wyn Masters, Wyn TV? Like, was there like a shift when you kind of saw yourself as, I need results to get a ride, to I just need to be myself to get a ride?
Yeah, pretty late though, like not so long ago, probably. So it was a long time before I felt like that. So before I used to really look at the results too much, probably. And then you focus on it more, it probably is actually a negative effect. Because you're more stressed, you're not relaxed, and you're trying to get this result that's going to make all the difference. And now, I think for this year, they were like, oh, we don't mind if you don't race. So I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah,
you just do Wyn TV.
Yeah. But I still wanted to race this year, and then decide to do things on my terms, you know? Yeah.
Well, I think that comes back to making you more relatable as well.
Yeah, it's easier to speak to someone when
you're in it. You're in the trenches.
Yeah, you're right there in the trenches with them. And you rode the same track.
How'd that feel though? Did that make you enjoy riding more once you knew that pressure was off, that you didn't have to do it, but you could because you wanted to?
Yeah, I think so. It's like, that's what I like doing. So I'm doing it for me, not because someone needs me to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost letting go of the expectation from someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe that would have been nicer a few more years ago when I was more competitive. I probably would have done better. Yeah.
It's hard. Like, that is so hard though, to be okay with not doing as well.
Yeah.
But then also wanting to do really well. Like, that's the thing. I put up a thing the other day saying how, like, for great athletes, if they come short of what they know they're capable of, that will, like, they'll be, like, look at Loic after his race run.
He was pissed. But he did the most amazing run.
Oh, he's a people's champ for sure. He
won the race.
He won the race, yeah. But for what he expected out of himself, that wasn't enough. And that robbed him of...
He comes down and sees 22. He doesn't look at anything else.
He has no idea what everyone else has done.
Yeah. And nor does he care at that point, because he wanted to win, that's all.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty gnarly to be like that. Like,
but that's what I mean. It's like,
unless you're like Loic, that's not sustainable for anyone. So I felt like once you win a race, then you're like, nothing compares to that.
Yeah.
So you're never gonna. You can have the greatest performance, your best riding. If you don't win, you're like, oh, it's shit.
Yeah. Well, look at Sam at Champery.
Yeah.
Even I compared it to recently Leger a couple of years ago when he crashed.
Yeah.
He won that race, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like hands down, everyone talking about it. Yeah.
You remember that. You don't remember, like, Thibaut won. It's funny.
But then the rider won't think like that.
No, I think it's just like, looking back, like, I'm sure Sam looks at Champery now and probably goes,
that was cool.
That was, like, people are still talking about that.
I smoked them that day, but I still, I had a crash, so I would have won.
Yeah.
It's like,
but I think the thing that people, this is what I see with Loic and with Sam and with Reese, is the thing that people remember. It's like, they didn't give up. Yeah. That was the thing that made them, like, the champion.
Aaron, when his chain came off.
Exactly, yeah.
All of these things are like the memorable moments. Yeah. The most memorable runs. Yeah.
It's when unfavourable odds and not giving up.
We haven't had many of those recently, though. Where there's super memorable things. Like, I can't remember the last race where I was like, wow, that's super special.
I'd say for me it would have been Reese 2021 in the wet. Yeah. That was, and it's funny because he was wearing the World Champs jersey. It just reminded me of Sam at Champery, even though he didn't win. But it was
that was the last one, and then we were 2 years ahead. We haven't. Yeah. Like, we are at every race, but we don't remember everything. But I can't remember something like that. Yeah, that's. So those moments don't come around very often. Yeah. Yeah. And as much as obviously you can say, like, Loic, what he did, like, wasn't amazing like that, but still to be the last man down and be the fastest by far in those conditions. And he was, until the last sector, he was close to battling for a podium. Yeah. And then he lost a lot in the last sector because there's all those slippery rocks. But if he had have held that margin, he might have got on the podium. Yeah. And he still, what would he have been, a couple seconds? Yeah. Well, it was two. He held 2 second margin the whole run pretty much. Besides the bottom. Yeah. And then went like 4 seconds back still in the wet. Yeah, and proper wet on horrible rock. Yeah. Because you look at, because even, like, Loris came down right before him. Yeah. And he was nowhere. Yeah, Loic's just something special. And he also constantly goes on about how he doesn't like riding in the wet. Yeah. But then can do that. They can do that. It's like riding inside the berms on the top to try and stay away from the slippery shit. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. How you do that and then keep the speed. And the ground has also got to roll slower when it's wet. Yeah, wait, yeah. I want to know what you think about this, because I was looking a couple of years ago when Loic became world champion at Leger. Yeah. And I look at how it was like Loris, Amaury and Loic. Yeah. And I was like, arguably Amaury's probably all out speed, the fastest. Yeah. And then kind of for bike skill, almost Loris is probably more technical. Yeah. But then Loic's a better racer. Yeah. And it was just funny how they weren't like, it's like all out speed can beat skill, but then better racer can beat both. Yeah. Kind of thing. Yeah, for sure. I think Loris is always one of the best to watch in practice because he just does stuff like makes everything look real easy and
so
simple.
precise.
He's like floating.
He's like Jet in a way. Jet Lawrence, like how they ride.
Yeah. And then Amari's the best to watch in the race because he's just 100% intensity. You can see in his eyes he just wants to kill the track. And then Loic almost looks boring sometimes. Like he's riding down, his posture's good, and he's like, it looks slow sometimes.
Yeah.
But then he takes time out of everyone.
Yeah, it works.
And he does it when all the chips are on. Like if everything's on the table, then he can deliver his best performance, whereas other people probably won't.
Even look at Fort William where he's never done well there.
Yeah.
And then world champs come along, qualifies first.
Yeah.
And then gets 5th.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to win. I was like...
Yeah, I think if it didn't rain, he probably would have won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is insane to think of the track where he's never done well.
Yeah. He just knows how to deliver when there's a big prize at the end.
Yeah. It's crazy that like how mentally that breaks so many people, and then some people it just like heightens.
Yeah, him and Greg, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they can lift themselves.
Not many others.
No. I guess you look at like Fab Burrell was someone like that.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Even Gwyn.
Yeah.
And like in times.
But Gwyn never won a world
yeah,
champs,
exactly. Yeah. On that day he couldn't.
He
Which is
could
crazy.
Not make it happen on one day, but he'd make it happen every other World Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hectic. We touched on before, you were saying how you want to put more effort into like the privateer thing. How did that all start off originally? Because like we touched on at the start, you obviously came over here and were like doing it pretty tough. So you've obviously seen the process you need to go through to become a World Cup racer. Did you just see that and go, hey, I want to give back now and help in some way? Yeah,
it's like now I've gotten to a point where I can help other people. And there were some people that helped me like quite a bit when I was coming, like just with parts or help at the race, a little bit here and there, and that makes all the difference. So I was like, now I'm in a position where I can use my sponsors to actually help others. And I started with the privateer award thing for the videos because I was watching like quite a bit of motocross stuff. The Pulp MX, they were doing like privateer stuff, supporting privateers, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So I was like, may as well get this happening in mountain biking. I started a GoFundMe, got money together, and it was like giving awards to the best privateers at each World Cup. And then slowly but steadily, all my sponsors kind of got involved. And now it's to the point where if they want, they can join our team for the next race. They can have the bike to keep. It's like a full package now, plus some money. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that for some people.
Do you get more, because this is the thing, like you said, you don't really care so much about the results and all that, but do you get way more out of helping someone in that sense than getting a top 30?
I think so. Like, it's great to get the result, but then to see someone else so stoked and then they go and do well, it's pretty special. Even
you can alter their life,
their career
forever.
Yeah. They can have a career or not. Yeah.
It's like that whole everlasting fulfillment thing of like, we gave them this and now look where they are now. Yeah,
it's like all good. All the most famous people in the world, they can do whatever they want, but they all chase legacies, so they can be remembered for doing something.
Yeah.
Rather than the buying whatever or doing. Yeah.
I never understood the whole thing where I think it's just like a progression of you get to a certain point and you're like, I've kind of done it.
Yeah.
So now let's help other people do it, and then they can kind of you live in a way through them as well.
Yeah.
Like for example, like Ollie Davis got 11th.
Yeah. Then you were like, that's a dream for you as well.
That's like I was way more pumped.
Yeah.
To see that. I couldn't care about my result.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter in this sense. It's like that's something to.
Yeah, maybe you're at that point where that's almost it's way more rewarding than.
Way more rewarding than.
And then his career was about to take off now.
Yeah.
Because of these consistent results he's had lately. And I hope it does because the way he's been going, like to do those consistently, he's proven that he can. Not many people can.
Yeah, especially coming back because he came back from injury, then got hurt again. Then it's been because I know when he was obviously a junior, he was fighting with top guys. Like I'm pretty sure he was fighting with DePrella and
and he was the second Australian in the weekend.
Who was
Luke Meister.
Luke was
And then
he was only
Troy
half
was
as
behind him.
yeah.
Yeah.
That blows my mind when I look at that. Like I think
Yeah.
about growing up and knowing where Ollie was and where Troy was.
Yeah.
And to think you just beat Troy
Yeah.
seems so. If you said that a couple of years ago, you'd be
You
like,
wouldn't believe it.
no way.
Yeah. So those are cool moments, and that's like special to be able to see those go down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can enjoy that more than just chasing your own result and being like, wow, I got 15th or whatever.
Yeah. And you're kind of doing that where that's going to be scattered throughout the pits in a way.
Yeah,
of
try to, yeah.
Of helping like
even I can be like, we gave Camille Blanche money in 2019. She was sleeping in her van to do Lenzerheide race, which is in Switzerland. And she's from Switzerland. And now she's multiple time world champion. It's like, yeah, I gave her $500, but not much, but
it helped.
That helped at the time, yeah. And then now we also we try and help is that to give them some profile, because then like, oh, you win the privateer award, you get some interview, people start to look out for your name, and then that's quite cool. It can help elevate their profile.
Well, I think it just shifts their mindset of like, oh, people actually
they do care.
Yeah, they do care. They see it.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting 28th, 35th, whatever, and you could, to you that might be like really good, but you'd be like, oh, no one cares about 35th.
Yeah.
And then someone goes, here's a camera in your face, here's some money, and
and then
oh shit.
Suddenly people would talking about you.
And then you're 15th at the next race, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, does it?
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that not so many people really give back. Or they haven't like, maybe it's hard to have the chance to do it while you're racing because you focus on your racing.
Yeah.
And it would affect your racing if you wanted to focus on that.
Well, that's the thing now. I guess you get to a point when it's like something's got to take a bit of an L.
Yeah.
Like you've got to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Maybe results.
For sure. From my side, I say like the focus is doing the videos and getting all that stuff done well, and then racing after.
Yeah.
But before it used to be more racing. But then I'd be like,
that's what I was saying before. Was that a hard shift though when that happened to accept the fact that you go, hey, the racing might not be the one anymore?
Sometimes it is, but then other times like I'd be like, sometimes I would race better because I was like so focused on something else.
Yeah.
That I could switch my mind was not just focused on the race.
Yeah.
And I was like almost more relaxed because I was like.
I can relate to that for this last one. Like the first 3 World Cups I did, my brain was so like, I need to do this, I need to do well, and then I rode terribly, and then I came here and I was like, I don't care. Yeah. I didn't ride my best, but I rode definitely better than where I was at. Yeah. But you shut off from that idea of like, I need to do this for whatever external reason that comes with it, which
definitely damages your performance.
Yeah, for sure. But it's just interesting to hear like the transition between.
No, it was not too bad. It's like I kind of enjoy doing the video stuff, so it's fun. And then I'm spending time with all the people and trying to tell each one's story of what happened, or that's like quite interesting to try and get that out of people. Yeah.
Tell their story more.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one thing, especially at the World Cup, but there's so many different stories that that go untold. Yeah. That people don't understand or see or.
Yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes that you're never going to see, and if you watch the broadcast, you don't see it. You know, like you just see them race down the hill. Don't see that they.
They're not people. They got a helmet on. They got goggles. You don't see them. They're characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost superheroes, you know.
Yeah, super Brady. I get what you mean though, but it's hard for a fan to be relatable to someone that doesn't seem real in any context or any aspect.
And you look at it like, I remember I would be working in Australia and be like looking at the World Cup riders and I'd be like, I wish I could be like them. Like I lived and breathed to try and be like them. And then I was like, when you get there, it was not quite what I thought it was.
I don't think it ever is going to be with anything. Yeah. Like grass is always green is a real thing.
Yeah, but you think that they don't have the problems that you have.
Yeah.
Because it looks easy. They ride their bike for a living.
Yeah.
And then you're doing everything to try and get there.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to this song. I'd be like, oh, if I could be like that, 3 doors down. And I'd be like thinking, no, I could be a racer. And there would be like landscaping or something. and just hating it. But then when I got there, I was like, whoa, there's quite a lot more that goes into this. And it was stressful, yeah.
I got a mate, Harry Bink, and he goes another level, another devil.
Yeah.
And so every time you level up in something in your life, there's something else that's going to be hard, or something else that's going to push you or test you in that thing.
Yeah.
And I think, especially this probably, because where do you live now, in Germany or in?
Austria.
Austria now.
Yeah.
Coming from New Zealand, you know what it was like being away from
first
home.
Time, yeah.
Away from home, away from family, you're trying to like maintain a relationship.
Yeah.
That's something that I never expected to be as hard as it was. And that's like been through my entire career since I started to now.
You leave your home and you go to Europe for 6 months. It's like, there's never going to be a relationship that works like that.
No. Yeah, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing, it's like, and then for example, okay, you do have a girlfriend, then you want to bring her with, then you're trying to maintain a relationship while you're at work in a high stress situation, which is also a hard thing to maintain.
Yeah.
So it's like either way, there's some kind of difficulty that comes with this job that you wouldn't see from the outside. You would just see the finish line, you've just won, your girlfriend's there hugging you, whatever, champagne, happy days.
Yeah.
They don't see, then you've got to be apart for another 3 months, or you've got to...
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, the all the money coming to the sport, sometimes it's worse for the worse. Like, it's not going to be for the better if way more money comes in. Because more money comes in, but more expectation, more of this, more of that. And you look at some of those other sports, like when I go and watch MotoGP or something like that, it doesn't look that enjoyable to be the rider. Whereas we have a great time here, we've got people that close, everyone's friendly. Yeah. But if there was way more money, it might be worse.
I find it funny how everyone in our sport seems to be so attracted to being like a motocross racer.
Yeah.
I would not do that.
No, they hate each other. They don't even no one hangs out. They stay in their camper van. They don't leave it. And they're still with their parents for half the time. Yeah. It's like, it's not a weird, cool environment.
No. Yeah. And then they race literally all year, or train all year. Yeah. They don't go to new places as well. Yeah. They go to the same tracks. There's no way I'd change what I've done here to race motocross.
This is one of the best sports for all the people that are in it, and how we can compete against each other but be good friends at the same time. And there's not crazy ego, because the money is not like a MotoGP rider or Formula 1 driver. So there's a bit less of that. People can be more normal.
Yeah, way more relate. It's way more connected. That's one thing about mountain biking, is obviously everything has ups and downs, but as a community-based
it's pretty
sport,
cool.
Everyone gets along super well.
Probably one of the best sports, hands down, for that.
You look at, this was something I thought was really cool. You know, when Andreas Kobe crossed the line at World Champs and he saw Charlie was in the hot seat, and he's just lost the World Champs by nothing. Yeah. First thing he does is run over and gives him a hug.
He smiled straight away.
Yeah.
For his teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sums up, I think, our sport.
You don't have Jeffrey Hurlings running over to Antonio Caroli. Giving him
yeah, you just beat me in a battle.
They ride straight back to the pits. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing stuff like that, you really do appreciate and understand it better.
Yeah. And then you understand the people around, like Kolb and Charlie's team is cool. They've got such a vibe going, and Andy could have left that team, gone to another team. But he decided to stay there, and that's been a positive for his career. Then he comes out and wins a World Cup. Yeah. So it's there's a lot more to it than just what it looks, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you can get sucked into that whole shine. It's an easy thing to do. I was going to ask you, Eddie told me to ask you a question about amateur drifting.
Residential drifting.
Residential drifting?
Yeah.
What happened with residential drifting?
No, I used to be into residential drifting.
What is that?
Just when you roll around the streets doing a bit of drifting in your welded diff. Laurel.
What kind of car did you have?
Nissan Laurel.
And it was the one?
It was the one.
How did it turn out?
I lost a wheel at one point. A wheel went flying off down the road and then bounced over a big fence.
Did you get it back?
No. But luckily I had a boot full of spares.
So you just put it on the way you went?
Put another one on, yeah. But we were missing a couple of studs, I think. So we only had 3 studs done up. So then we used the other 3.
What's the best story you reckon you've got, you and Eddie?
It's hard to say.
I'll was going to ask you at the start, we kind of got carried away, but I was going to ask you, what was it like growing up in the Masters household? Because you guys have kind of, definitely your personalities and way of being have paved a way in like the sport as being kind of way different than a lot of other people do. And it's like, obviously that started from probably when you were kids.
Probably we're just like, our mum's pretty crazy on horses, so we used to have to go to horse events all the time.
Yeah.
Until we were like 11 or 12, and then sold the horse and got a mountain bike. And she still goes to horse events.
She didn't want to get a
but
mountain
we
bike.
just don't go with. Yeah. She's got an e-bike now.
Oh,
but
perfect.
she loves it. But yeah, she's pretty mad, and we probably just went to all these horse events and did crazy stuff on horses to start with. And then that started like going to events. And then we were pretty independent from a young age. So we just go with whoever was going to events when we were real young, like not with our parents or anything. So we were kind of like free range a bit.
Just got it.
Yeah, like off. Because we went to boarding school I went to boarding school from 12. Eddie probably like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And then I'd just go with who was going to the races.
Did you go to the same school?
Yeah.
Did you look out for him when you were...
Not too much.
Did you need to?
Nah, not too bad. He was better at school than I was.
Like, but like getting bullied or getting in fights or anything like that?
Nah, not too bad. Like, more... it would have been better if it was the other way around.
Why, because you were getting in trouble?
Yeah, I would be like more of in the trouble or whatever, yeah. So, yeah. But because we went to boarding school, we already lived out of home from like 12. So then you can do anything. It was like, I can live by myself now.
Yeah, so give that independence as a
kid.
kid.
It was quite good for being able to go and travel everywhere, do whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, then I moved to Australia like 19...
So you moved to Cairns, didn't you?
Yeah, 18 or 19, yeah. And then moved there, and I knew like
Why?
hardly anyone.
What was the decision?
Just because there's more money there.
Yeah, true.
To make for like crappy labouring jobs.
Yeah.
And then from there get enough money, then go to Europe. And I wouldn't have done that if I wasn't comfortable leaving home. So I think, my parents were pretty relaxed, but they pushed us when they needed to do the stuff we enjoyed, and that whatever our passion was. And they let us dig up the backyard and build jumps. So like from there, that built our love for mountain biking.
Are they still there?
No, they got knocked down. We had a neighbour that complained. But we're never at home anyway, so they would have been pretty messy at this point.
It would have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
Do you go home much now at all? Or are you...
Not too much. So I went home for 2 weeks last year.
Yeah.
But not too much. Mostly live in Europe.
Yeah.
And I've got a house in Queenstown, but I don't live there.
You just rent it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe one day end up in New Zealand.
So now you've got a little European family.
Yeah. Got a 7-month-old now.
Yeah.
Vincent, so he keeps me busy.
How many languages is he going to learn?
Well, he'll start with 2, and then probably there'll be quite a few.
Add a few in there?
It'll be pretty easy if you grow up around all these languages in Europe.
Well, that's the thing. I'd say you push that to be...
already will be English and German, so then...
Do you speak much German?
Not much. I can know some words, but can't really join the conversation.
Do you want to try and learn more? Or you...
I think so, yeah, I should. Yeah. Probably I learn more with him.
He'll probably teach you.
Yeah.
You can learn together.
Yeah, he'll know heaps and I'll know like half as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it'll be good.
That'd be a pretty good teacher.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
So then you learn as you go, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got some questions for you as well. The internet has... I'll get you out of here so we can go.
No worries.
So I put out a thing asking Wyn Masters what do you want to know about him? They had some, I don't know if I can ask. Someone wants to know if you'd ever do world commentary.
Yeah, of course.
If you got offered.
Of course. But I don't know if I'm a commentator or a finish line interview person. I haven't done enough commentary to say if I could be good at commentary. But I would like to try.
You would like to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, we got the best privateer life hack you've done.
Always make your lunch at breakfast.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And then you just put it in your hoodie.
I reckon you and Jake Neal should write a book.
Yeah.
About
Jake Neal. Some of the life hacks might be a little bit illegal. But but they work.
They work.
Yeah.
They definitely work.
Yeah.
Best tip for Wheelie Wednesday. Oh, we're doing wheelies.
Probably start learning them going uphill first. It's safer. And
just go uphill.
Just do it over and over.
Easy as that.
Do it to school every day, and then you'll learn easy. I used to just try and wheelie the whole way to school,
and
then from there it was like easy.
Got you there.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing we didn't touch on. But it's like the whole, like Wyn TV, Wheelie Wednesday. It's like that is your brand.
Yeah.
Of who you are, and that's what can bring value.
Yeah.
To you as a athlete.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people miss that, and they just focus on I need to get a result, and that's how I become.
Yeah. No one, like they'll remember you for winning some races, but you need to win races every week if you want to be like really remembered.
But then someone that can win and have a personality.
Yeah. Then perfect.
Then you transcend it in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just be yourself and focus on what is really authentic to yourself. Yeah.
Easy said than done, but
of course, but yeah.
It is again like not really. It's like being yourself should be easy, but I guess people lack the confidence.
Not being yourself is
hard, but people just lack the confidence to be themselves. Guy said, "Do you have 3 balls or have you a mono ball or just regular 2 balls?" Guy.
Just a regular 2 balls.
Just a 2 baller.
Yeah.
Can you actually? No, I'm not going to ask that one. It was a bit of pit gossip that I don't think we need to share. I don't know if you've got any more of thoughts on making downhill better.
More what?
Thoughts on making downhill better.
We need to go to some better venues. Like we should be racing in South America and Asia.
Yeah.
And West Coast America. Like, why are we not racing in those places? All the people there want to watch it. Especially South America and West Coast. Asia, they'll show up. Like, they love it. They love crazy sports. And they'll show up and watch it, and it'll be big news there. So we need to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm not going to direct the broadcast or the coverage at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll stay out of that, but just try
new places, yeah.
If it's a World Cup, it should be in those
Go
places.
around the world, yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
All right, I got 3 more questions for you. I always ask these at the end. If you could go back to some point in your life and change something, what would you want to change?
It's hard to say.
I know, everyone, because it's like where you are now, you're happy with.
Maybe I would have come to Europe when I was a junior, then wait until I was 20 years old. But that might have actually been worse.
Yeah.
So, at this point, it's hard to say. Yeah.
What are you scared of?
Scared of? I don't know what I would say I'm scared of. Like, I don't like rats, probably.
Rats are not the
like
one.
gnarly rats, I don't like them. Or snakes, but I'm not like super scared.
But like not in the sense of like maybe not so much of like a physical thing, but like a thought of something happening.
Yeah, probably like having gnarly crash or something is like scary. But you almost get conditioned to it by doing the sport, which is somewhat unhealthy.
Yeah.
That having a big crash becomes normal.
Well, do you remember at World Champs in Leger, I had a huge crash in front of you in the roots?
Yeah, I was there.
And I remember in my head, like getting up, brushing myself off, put my lever straight, and then going like it was just normal.
Yeah.
And I remember after the race, I thought back to that, and I was like, that's not normal.
No.
You don't.
It's not
You don't
right,
tomahawk like
so
that.
So you're probably, you're scared of a crash that could leave you with long-term issues, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, that's fine. How do you want to be remembered?
Huh?
How do you want to be remembered?
Probably just someone that helped others to achieve their dreams and someone that had a good time.
Good.
Yeah.
I got I'll get you to ask a question for the next guest. So then ask it. What are things you're doing now? What's something you know you're doing that you shouldn't do, and what's something that you're not doing that you know you should do?
Scrolling too much and wasting time. Because you're like, oh, just check that, and then you go on your phone to do something, and you don't even do it, and you end up scrolling.
Yeah, you get
and
stuck.
then you're wasting time.
Mm.
So probably do less of that, and then spend more time with the family is probably more valuable.
Yeah.
I'm doing as much as I can, but I think
There's always more.
There's always more because there was a book, I think, or a thing that you only have 18 years with your kids.
Mm.
After those 18 years, you've spent 95% of the time with them.
Mm.
So then 18 years is not very long.
No.
And then most people work 40 hours a week. So you don't actually spend much time together.
Mm.
So that's what's pretty cool with this job is like when you're away, but then when you're home, you're there.
Mm.
You don't need to train all day.
Mm.
Like you can go 2 hours training, then you can be with your family or friends. So probably spend more time with family, friends. Yeah.
Yeah, that is like a double-edged sword, but it can kind of like work well.
Yeah.
Like when you do come
Yeah,
back.
it's bad on some regards, but I think if
Hot or
you
cold.
live in Europe, it's easy.
Yeah.
Like the Europeans do not understand how hard it is for an Australian, a South African, an American, Canadian to race the World Cup.
Mm.
They do not. They can drive in their car to the race with all their stuff, and it's just like, then I'll go home on Sunday night.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like I didn't go home for 6 months,
Yeah.
and then you're living out of a bag.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
Yeah.
And then they go to, when we had the World Cups in Kansas, oh, it's so long
It's
travel.
so hard.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
So, yeah, I think.
I get you. And I get, if you want to ask a question, you have to do it now. You can think of one. But if you've got one loaded in your brain, you don't know who the person will be. But if you've got a question you want to ask the next person that would sit down, something you want to know.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's all right. You can think about it. You can stop it now, and because people don't. I don't like putting people on the spot.
Yeah.
But if you can think of one, send it to me, and I'll ask the next person.
Yeah, I'll have to think of it.
You think of one? All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to end on?
Just thanks to everyone who's here and for this sport, for being a good sport. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cheers, Wyn.
Cheers, mate.